Please be ready for a dictation of a matter on Ministry of Defence, India, taken from Wikipedia. 5 seconds. Start. The Ministry of Defence is charged with coordinating and supervising all agencies and functions of the government relating directly to national security and the Indian Armed Forces. The President of India is the ceremonial Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the country. The Ministry of Defence provides policy framework and resources to the armed forces to discharge their responsibility in the context of the defence of the country. The Indian Armed Forces, including Indian Army, Indian Air Force, Indian Navy, and Indian Coast Guard, under the Ministry of Defence, are primarily responsible for ensuring the territorial integrity of India. At present, the undergoing new creation of National Defence University for training of military officials and concerned civilian officials will be administered and overseen by the ministry. The ministry organizes and runs Republic Day celebrations and parade every year in January, hosting a chief guest. The ministry has the largest budget among the federal departments of India and currently stands third in military expenditure in the world among countries of the world. A military department was created by the Supreme Government of the British East India Company at Calcutta in the year 1776. Its main function was to coordinate and record orders relating to the army issued by various departments of the government of the East India Company. The military department initially functioned as a branch of the public department and maintained a list of army personnel. With the Charter Act of 1833, the Secretariat of the Government of the East India Company was reorganized into 4 departments, each headed by a secretary to the government. The armies in the presidencies of Bengal, Bombay and Madras functioned as the respective presidency armies until April 1895, when the presidency's armies were unified into a single Indian army. For administrative convenience, it was divided into 4 commands: Punjab, Bengal, Madras, and Bombay. The supreme authority over the Indian Army was vested in the Governor General in Council, subject to the control of the Crown, which was exercised by the Secretary of State for India. 2 members in the Security in the Council were responsible for military affairs. One was the military member who supervised all administrative and financial matters. The other was the Commander-in-Chief, who was responsible for all operational matters. The military department was abolished in March 1906 and was replaced by 2 separate departments, the Army Department and the Military Supply Department. In April 1909, the Military Supply Department was abolished and its functions were taken over by the Army Department. The Army Department was redesignated as the Defence Department in January 1938. The Department of Defence became the Ministry of Defence under a cabinet minister in August 1947. The functions of Ministry of Defence, which in 1947 was mainly logistic support to the armed forces, has undergone far-reaching changes. In November 1962, following the 1962 war, a Department of Defence Production was set up to deal with research, development and production of defence equipment. In November 1965, the Department of Defence Supplies was created for planning and execution of schemes for import substitution of requirements for defence purposes. These two departments were later merged to form the Department of Defense Production and Supplies. In 1980, the Department of Defense Research and Development was created. In January 2004, the Department of Defense Production and Supplies was renamed the Department of Defense Production. A scientific advisor to the Defense Minister was appointed to advise on scientific aspects of military equipment and the research and design of Defense Forces equipment. The Department of Ex-Servicemen Welfare was created in 2004. Stop.